Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. Now, this marks a new era for the podcast. Everyone listening. So I am AJ21 Love, and for those who have followed my podcast on Anchor, you'll know that I'm doing a podcast, and mine would cover sports. Mostly sports, whether it be football, basketball, sometimes baseball, and MMA, as well as pro wrestling. So today is the first, for those who are seeing me right now, this is my first video portion episode of my podcast. So welcome. Now, I'm still putting this on the audio version, putting it on the Anchor app. But this, if you're watching this, my first video episode. So, welcome to this very first video episode of my podcast. Now, for schedule, how I do my podcast. Again, for those who have followed my podcast, know that I do Monday, Thursday, and Friday. Monday, which is today, I will cover a bunch of sports topics in the world, just like an overview of everything that is happening. And for Thursday and Friday, what I do is I do AEW and NXT reviews. So if you're a pro wrestling fan, then you know how to follow it. But if you want other sports topics, then Monday is the day. So with that, thank you all for joining me. Hope everyone's being safe on this fine Monday. Yesterday was my birthday. It kind of got ended on a weird note. I had stomachache. Luckily, I'm feeling better. Finally got this microphone. So with that, like I said, I hope everyone's being safe during these trying times. We'll get through. Now, with that being said, let's get into the podcast now, shall we? So, there are a few interesting topics to go over today as it pertains to the sports world. For starters, there was a UFC event, UFC Free Fight Night on Saturday. Volkov versus Blaydes, and that was pretty good. For what it was. Now, a little bit of recap on the prelims. I believe it was Jesse James, first Frank Camacho, and I tell you, Jesse James, he didn't get paid by the hour. He definitely finished it and finished it quickly. 41 seconds going on his part. But cutting to the main event, Volkov versus Alexander Volkov versus Curtis Blaydes. I mean, Volkov coming into this fight was 6-2 overall, or actually 6-1, or actually 7-1. Yeah, going back to his last win over Greg Hardy in his last fight. Well, when you think about it, his last loss was like kind of sad because, well, he lost to Derek Lewis when he was winning the whole fight, but lost last 10 seconds when he got knocked out. And Derek Lewis, of course, he has that power. But coming into his 7-1, starting high, obviously Curtis Blaydes is in top 5, I believe, top 3, number 3 contender, they said. And of course, he did his thing, wrestle, takedown over and over on Volkov. Volkov is the main striker. Of course, Michael Bisping alluded to it on commentary. He said that, well, Volkov, yes, he had the number 1 takedown defense in the UFC, but he didn't really face a wrestler standard of Curtis Blaydes. Obviously, he faced Werdum, and he knocked him out in the 4th round. However, he was getting taken down in that fight, and Werdum, of course, he's not really a wrestler, but he's more Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu type of guy. That being said, yeah, I mean, it was a disappointing fight, and I was going for Volkov and Blaydes. Of course, his thing. To me, yes, he dominated the fight, but he's just not. He's kind of boring to me. He seems like a dull type of athlete. It's like not really a person that people want to jump to or watch fight or come to the TV screens just to see Curtis Blaydes. I mean, the UFC heavyweight division is still kind of icy at the top because, yes, Stipe and DC, they're going to have their trilogy fight on August 15th for the heavyweight title. And then, Francis Ngannou is right behind. He's been clamoring for a title shot. Of course, he deserves one. He has to wait till after Stipe and DC to happen, but he'll get a shot where Blades comes in. I don't know, because like I just said, Stipe and DC is gonna happen, and then Francis is gonna be waiting for obviously the winner. And I mean, Blades, he doesn't seem like that type of guy to sit out for a title shot. I mean, we'll see. There's not really much to go off of right now because Derek Lewis, he's going to fight Olenek. GDS is going to fight Rosenstrike. So, I mean, it's up in the air if you're a UFC heavyweight right now, in the top 5 especially. I mean, we'll see about that. Next up, going from MMA, UFC to now talking about the, a couple of injuries for the reigning NFC champion San Francisco 49ers. They had two key injuries to their wide receivers, or starting wide receivers from this past season. Deebo Samuel, who had a breakout season in his rookie year, could have been a nominee for offensive rookie year. I'm surprised a little bit that he didn't get any votes. It was just mainly Josh Jacobs, Kyler Murray, and A.J. Brown. Of course, well deserved, all three of them. But I was a little surprised that Deebo Samuel didn't get any votes. Nonetheless, him and Richie James Jr. Well, first of all, Samuel, he broke his foot. Of course, he'll probably be ready, but by the time the season starts. But of course, it's interesting because the off-season program this year for that NFL there's no OTAs. Train camp is right now kind of up in the air. Of course, they still got a few more weeks, and progress is being made, but have to wait to see. Rich James Jr., on the other hand, broke his wrist, and that takes about 2 months maybe to heal. Again, he also should be ready, but it's interesting because the off-season program, only training camp really, the Zoom meetings, lack of practice. We'll see. I still would expect the 49ers to make the playoffs at least. I mean, in my predictions, for those who follow me on Anchor, I made a predictions episode on there where I went over the schedules and the games of every game this season, and I tallied up all the wins of every team. And surprisingly, I had the Niners at 8-8. That was just how it went. But I still wouldn't be surprised if they made the playoffs, considering how loaded they are. Their front seven. Obviously, you gotta pay Kill as well, but I wouldn't be stunned if they made the playoffs again. Prior to my predictions, I actually predicted them to win the division, and in my predictions, I had the Seahawks winning the division. That's just how it went. But, we'll see about the 49ers. The next real topic about according to football has been the topic of Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams, he apparently requested a trade from the Jets. He's arguably the best safety in the NFL right now. He's a valuable asset, obviously, to the Jets. Probably their best player. Definitely their best player right now. Of course, the thing with safeties is it's difficult. Because, last year there was rumors that he was on the trade block. And then that made him upset. So, it's interesting because the market for safeties in the NFL is not really big. So for someone, I mean, he does basically everything though on the field, I will say. He is good in coverage. He can active in tackling, active in sacks, active in picks, but still the market for safeties is strange. I mean, when I was talking about running backs to my dad the other day, um, we were basically saying how running backs grow on trees in the NFL. Safeties probably not the same, but still they don't get paid a lot. So I mean, market for safety is kind of odd. And if you want to get paid as much as say Aaron Donald or Chris Jones on their franchise tag, it's not really that likely for a safety. A corner, maybe, excuse me, linebacker, pass rusher, they're different in what the market and how valuable a pass rusher and a linebacker are much more valuable than, say, a safety. And I get it, he's the number one safety, but the market doesn't value safeties as much. That's just how it goes. Now, he let out a preferred list of teams would like to get traded to. There was the Cowboys, there was the Chiefs, Texans, Baltimore, just like many contenders, which, I mean, I understand that you want to be on a better team considering the Jets are in limbo. They have been the last couple of years. Their last winning season was in 2015, but that was when they had a bunch of veterans. They had Ryan Fitzpatrick. The Beard had his best year. They had Brandon Marshall. They had a bunch of good veterans, Eric Decker. But, I mean, this team is... What the Jets need to focus on is that offense and really helping out Sam Darnold. I mean, the Jets, of course, they have Darnold. They have Le'Veon Bell. I mean, can Sam Darnold actually have a full season this year? Because the last 2 years he hasn't been played. He hasn't played all 16 games. So, I mean, that's the factor. Can Le'Veon Bell, he still had pretty solid season. Can Le'Veon Bell still have a 1,000-yard Pro Bowl season again? I believe he still can, but then you also have to look at the line in which they signed a bunch of veterans last year. Obviously, they got Ryan Khalil to come out of retirement. They had Alex Lewis, who they signed from the Ravens. They have some quality, and of course, they drafted Mekhi Becton out of Louisville in the draft, the number one pick. So a lot of interesting things there. It just depends how that materializes because right now the AFC East, although I'm a Patriots fan, the AFC East is up for grabs, you could say. The Bills are going to be good. The Patriots, I still believe, will be good. The Jets, we'll see. Dolphins, I believe, will be better. It just all depends how everything goes into. The last thing I want to talk about, or the last topic I want to talk about when it comes to football, is Dak Prescott signing his franchise tag tender expected to, which would pay him a little north of $31 million this year. I mean, it was kind of expected because, well, now Mike McCarthy is there. Yes, Kellen Moore is their offense coordinator still, but they have to see how Mike McCarthy and Dak all get along. Obviously, they signed Andy Dalton as a basically security blanket in case Dak doesn't perform this year or is underwhelming this year. I made a prediction that, well, assuming Dak doesn't fulfill everyone else's obligation or doesn't fulfill expectations, that's the word, this year for the Cowboys, they can re-sign Andy Dalton and perhaps draft a quarterback next year in the draft, whomever that is. Maybe Trey Lance, maybe, I don't know. But I mean, I said this before, I'll say this again. I would pay Dak about 25 to 30 million per year if I was Jerry Jones. That's how much I would pay him. Now, if he wants to be a highest paid quarterback in football, I mean, Russell Wilson is currently the top paid quarterback at $35 million per year. Is Dak worth that much? I don't think so. Now, 25 to 30 million is basically Derek Carr to Matt Ryan, and I believe Dak is in between that list. Excuse me. Yeah, I agree. Dak. They went 8-8 last year, and well, I'll be right back. Sorry. Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. I had to take a quick break, but I'm back. Like I said, I was talking about before I left off. I was talking about the Dak Prescott deal, signing his franchise tag. What I was gonna say was going back to Dak, how the Cowboys, of course, they started off hot, 3-0, and the Eagles were flourished with injuries, and the Cowboys lost the division. They couldn't even make the playoffs, so we're 8-8. They have one of the best rosters in the NFL, and they couldn't make the playoffs and lost by one game to the Eagles and the division. I'll basically say this: if Russell Wilson, in my opinion, was on the Cowboys last year, they would have at least made the NFC Championship game. That's my opinion. I mean, I guess we'll see where the Cowboys go this year. We'll see. And last thing I want to talk about was Saturday. Another UFC fight card will be happening. Poirier versus Hooker. Dustin Poirier, the Diamond, versus Dan the Hangman Hooker. Should be a really interesting fight. Two top fivers in the lightweight division of the UFC. Both, Poirier coming off that unsuccessful unification bout against Khabib, which I thought he had a real good chance in, facing Hangman, who's been, last he won against Paul Felder when Felder was doing really good, and should be really interesting. I can't wait to see that fight. Hopefully, it's better than what Blaydes and Volkov was, I will say. With that being said, is the conclusion to my first podcast video episode version. Obviously, there will still be my audio version, and this is the first portion of, or the first edition of the video portion of my podcast. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed it. This was an interesting experience. I can't wait to do it again. And of course, Thursday I'll be back with my AEW review, as well as on Friday my NXT review. Anyway, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I made Joe 2 Love. I hope you guys are staying safe as we get through these times, as we will. And I'll be back. See you guys. I made Joe 2 Love, and see you guys on Thursday.